tech support has to say, please take us seriously. But this is what the Ukrainians are saying. They understood this wasn't
Alright, live again.
as much as we did. And they didn't want to be used as a pawn.
Today,
Master Taylor explained
I'm going to finish a sketch I started, I think, back in December. Or not finish, I don't know. Go a little further with. Maybe I'll finish it, I don't know. And then I'm going to sketch for a little bit. So altogether, it'll probably be about an hour.
But also to be a pawn.
And you're just going to have to put up with silence and the news
it wasn't just
in the background. Oh, and me drinking tea. Coffee, actually.
And it looked like they were getting involved on the side of Donald Trump, and they were hurt to support the Democrats. It looked like they were getting involved on the other side.
I'm also going to run this on Instagram this time.
It wasn't just that it was no benefit to Ukraine
through my phone.
To be dragged into this.
Just looking at the screen.
There's no benefit to Ukraine by this. But they also didn't want to be viewed as
I got to get my head in a headspace to draw. This is the picture we will be drawing.
He's this new leader. He's a former comedian. And he wants to be taken seriously. He needs to be taken seriously because if the U.S.
Actually, so this was what we drew yesterday. This is where that ended.
And so the perception,
which is now the 25th one up. And I think we also did this yesterday.
The impression that he's nothing more than a pawn.
In the morning, maybe.
You could see how problematic that was for President Zelensky.
And yeah.
In other words, Ukrainian officials understood.
Now we'll go back to today.
Officials understood, just as all those folks you just saw, Morrison and Vindman and Hill and others, and all the people.
And I'm going to start sketching.
All the people listened to that call and understood this is just wrong. Now Morrison goes on to say that he's
right after I flick around a little bit for Instagram.
The legality of what happened in this call. But they all knew.
Hey, good job. Hey, Carrie, how are you?
They also knew that it was damaging.
So Thursday, it feels like a
they knew it was damaging
Monday.
to our national security. But here we see.
Yeah, so I'm live on Facebook, or not Facebook, I don't know, YouTube. So you can go over and watch me full screen over there, or you can stay here and deal with it, I don't know. I'm going to let it run here for a half hour or so. I'll be on over there for over an hour. Okay. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them here or on the YouTube video.
Indeed, we know this directly from President Zelensky himself, who said, quote,
alright, this is the photo I'm working with today.
But I don't want to be involved to democratic
the video of me drawing this is already up somewhere. I did it back in December.
I don't want to be involved. I don't want to be involved.
That was yesterday's finished piece.
That's not his job.
And yesterday morning's finished piece. You can go watch videos of those being made as well. But today, we're going to go at this. And how I'm going to do it is because I already have the idea down. I'm just going to put that together as one layer and reduce the opacity a little bit. Just a little bit.
Let's go to the eighth reason.
And go in here.
President Trump put himself first. And that is, there's no serious dispute that the White House.
My computer seems to be lagging a little bit this morning. I don't know what that's about.
They tried to bury the call record. Although President Trump has repeatedly insisted that his July 25th conversation with President Zelensky was perfect, the White House apparently believed otherwise. Their own lawyers apparently believed otherwise. Following a head of state call, the White House normally issues a public summary or a readout to lock in any commitments made by the foreign leader and publicly reinforce the core elements of the president's message. However, no public readout was posted on the White House website.
Also, again, as usual, the past little while, I've been listening to just the news in the background. I apologize that it's all impeachment stuff right now, but that is the news right now. So here we are.
The major elements
you do get to listen to me talk to myself a lot, so that's That's a definite.
President Donald J. Trump spoke by telephone with President Vladimir Zelensky of Ukraine to congratulate him on his recent election.
But I'm also kind of talking to you guys,
discussed ways to strengthen the relationship
whether you're watching this now or
and Ukraine, including energy and economic cooperation. Both leaders
in
also
the future.
expressed that they look forward to the opportunity to meet.
Right now, I can't see my YouTube comment or my chat.
Now, I don't know about you, but that does not seem like an accurate summary of that call. As you can see, that summary did not mention President Trump's repetition of a debunked conspiracy theory about the 2016 election promoted by Russian President Putin. The summary did not mention President Trump's demand that Ukraine announce an investigation into his domestic political rival, former Vice President Biden. The summary did not mention that President Trump praised a corrupt Ukrainian prosecutor who to this day continues to feed false claims to the president through Rudy Giuliani. If the call was perfect, if these investigations were legitimate, if the White House had nothing to hide, then ask yourselves, why did the White House readout omit any mention of these investigations? Why not publicly confirm that Ukraine had been asked by the president to pursue? Why? Because it would have exposed the president's corruption. But sanitizing the call readout wasn't the only step taken to cover up the president's wrongdoing. The White House counsel's office also took irregular efforts to hide the call record away on a secure server used to store highly classified information. National Security Council Senior Director Tim Morrison, who you saw video clips of,
like I said, today is a Thursday. It feels like Monday. I feel exceptionally tired, wiped, didn't sleep much last night.
Mr. Morrison said the call record did not meet the requirements to be placed on the highly classified system. And Mr. Eisenberg later claimed the call record had been placed on the highly classified system by mistake. Sure, it was a very innocent mistake. However, mistake or no mistake, it remained on that system until at least the third week of September of 2019. So that mistake continued from July all the way through September. Why were they trying to hide what the president did? This was U.S. policy. If they were proud of it, if they were really interested in corruption, if this was about corruption, if this had nothing to do with the president's re-election campaign, if Biden was merely an interesting coincidence, why did they bury the record?
Cleaning up some of this, because I mean, I like the dirty look altogether, but also when I started this one, I think I wanted it a little bit cleaner than usual, so I'm getting rid of a lot of the underlying sketch work. And yeah, you can watch the video of me doing the sketch of it over on YouTube as well.
This was a covert action of a different kind and character. This was a corrupt action, and it was hidden, and they knew it was wrong, and that's why they hid it. Innocent people don't behave that way.
All right.
Let's go to the ninth reason that you know President Trump put himself first. This is perhaps the clearest reason that we can tell that all President Trump cared about is that President Trump...
Oh, man. I hate hearing his name being said so much. It's unnecessary.
In his statements to his agents...
I'm here to talk about my own personal political views, but this impeachment hearing is something else.
To help him cheat in the 2020 election, President Trump spoke with Gordon Sondland, who was in Ukraine. President Trump had only one question for Ambassador Sondland. So, he's going to do the investigation? Here is David Holmes recounting the call between President Trump and Sondland.
I then heard President Trump ask, so he's going to do the investigation. Ambassador Sondland replied that he's going to do it, adding that President Zelensky will do anything you ask him to do.
here we are. This is July 26th.
Also, I should be myself at work today. But I wasn't feeling well. More updates on that later.
Tells David Holmes he's going to do it. Of course, that's the only thing the president asked about in that call. Sondland says he's going to do it, adding that Zelensky will do anything you ask him to do, including, apparently, be his pawn. Now, although Sondland didn't remember the details of this conversation, he did not dispute Holmes' recollection of it. In fact, Ambassador Sondland had an interesting take on it, which you should hear.
Actually, I would have been more surprised if President Trump had not mentioned investigations, particularly given what we were hearing from Mr. Giuliani about the president's concerns.
Well, that's pretty telling. That in this call, the day after he's had this head of state call, they finally got the call arranged between these two presidents.
If any of you guys on my Instagram have a idea for something you'd like to see me draw, like somebody turned into a character or anything, really, I'm down. I'm always looking for new things to draw and sketch. Not saying that I'll definitely draw anything, but although I will definitely draw it if you pay me to do it. That's a whole different kettle of fish. Kettle of fish.
In September 2019, even after President Trump learned that his scheme was in danger of becoming publicly exposed, he would not give up. He still expected Ukraine to announce the investigations into Joe Biden and this alleged Ukrainian interference in 2016. According to 3 witnesses, President Trump emphasized Ambassador Sondland in a call on September 7th that President Zelensky, quote, should want to do it.
Extra? I can't read that name. Extra Sernov. Can't possibly be extra. That doesn't sound right. And now I'm going to take a brush with some bristle. A standard big canvas brush.
So here,
grab off.
From the president's own words, what his primary object is.
Some color again.
His primary object is
oh wow, that does not look right.
Up to cheat in his re-election campaign.
Oh, it's because I'm on the same
After
layer.
all that we've been through, after all that we've
pause
been
due
through
to poor
with Russian
connection.
interference in our election,
Great.
and all that cost. He was at it again. Unrepentant.
There we go.
Undeterred,
I'll go with some rough bristles.
if anything, emboldened by escaping accountability from his invitation and willful use of Russian hacked materials in the last election, and unconstrained. This is a president who truly feels that under Article 2 he can do whatever he wants. And that includes coercing an ally to help him cheat in an election.
And this is going to be to put down the bristle texture.
And if he's successful, the election is not a remedy for that. A remedy in which the president can cheat is no remedy at all.
Just texture
Which is
for
why we're here. This was not about corruption.
a multiply
Which brings me
layer.
to number 10. 10 reasons you know President Trump put himself first. Ironically, the president has argued that his corrupt conduct in soliciting sham investigations from Ukraine was driven by his concerns about corruption in Ukraine. This attempt to legitimize his efforts is simply not credible, not the least bit believable, given the mountain of evidence in the record of President Trump's corrupt intent. There is no evidence that President
Select
Trump
blue. You
cared
guys can't see my
one
selector there, can
about
you?
anti-corruption efforts at all. That's the 10th reason you know this was all political.
Select a
First,
like a
the evidence
bright
in President Trump's own public statements that make clear that when the president talks about corruption in Ukraine, he's only talking about that sliver, that little sliver of alleged corruption that just somehow happened to be affected by his own political interests, specifically 2 investigations that would benefit his reelection. For example, on September 25th, in a joint press availability with President Zelensky.
Yeah, like I said, if you want to watch me do this,
at the United Nations General Assembly,
have I tried sleeping pills? Yeah, I was on sleeping pills for a lot of years, actually, Gary. So, again, that's a whole other story. But not a fan. They make everything taste like coins.
I mean, you can imagine how President
Or I found they did.
Sitting there and hearing
numerous different varieties as well.
The man who doesn't want to be pulled into
It was a very long time ago.
And there is the president at it again, trying to draw his nation in, even while they've got a war to fight.
I'm
Another
just putting
example
down
was on
some
September 30th when President Trump
brush
stated,
texture in some spots where you're going to see it.
President
Most of this here
ran on the basis of no corruption. That's how he got elected. And I believe that he really means it. But there was a lot of corruption having to do with the 2016
most of this is going to be blackened in.
And we want to get to the bottom of it, and it's very important that we do. Thank you.
But the little pieces you can see, I want them to be pretty bright green.
Conspiracy theory. What does the president say? Corruption
Well,
against
thumbs up to you
us?
too, Harley Quinn.
He's not concerned about actual corruption cases, only matters that affect him personally.
Harley Quinn got some
2
sorry.
days later, President Trump again tried to link corruption with the Biden
And this time we're
investigation.
going to go blue-green. I'm going to make it a little brighter than it actually
The only
looks.
thing that matters is the transcript of the actual conversation that I had with the president of Ukraine. It was perfect.
A little bit darker than that.
We're looking at congratulations. We're looking at doing things together. And what are we looking at? We're looking at corruption. And in, I believe, 1999, there was a corruption act or a corruption bill passed between both countries, where I have a duty to report corruption. And let me tell you something. Biden's son is corrupt, and Biden is
Alright,
corrupt.
and
Just 2 days after that, the president again equated corruption with actions by others to hurt him politically.
What's up there? If we feel there's corruption, like I feel there was in the 2016 campaign, there was tremendous corruption against me. If we feel there's corruption, we have a right to go
hello,
to war.
I am Joker.
So here again, the president is pushing out
I
the
am
Kremlin
that
talking
Joker
point
guy.
of Ukrainian interference in 2016.
I'm gonna bring it up a little bit brighter for this part.
Again, when President Trump is talking about corruption,
Just so when it
he's
mixes,
talking
you can
about
kind of see it.
perceived efforts by political
This brush is
opponents.
nice
Again,
because it actually
it's personal, it's political,
seems to
but it is not anti-corruption
draw from the
policy.
underlayer
Ambassador
as well.
Volker confirmed this fact. Fighting corruption in Ukraine when used by President Trump.
Now I'm going to go
Giuliani
directly to a red.
refers to the investigation of the Bidens in 2016.
Not a
Volker said,
bright red, but
Hindsight,
like
I now understand that others saw the idea of investigating
there.
possible corruption involving the Ukrainian company Burisma as equivalent to investigating former Vice President Biden.
And I'm not sure
So
if I
again,
want it that bright in the
President
end,
Trump,
but
Mr. Giuliani had
I'm going to
used
put
the
it down
term
that bright and
corruption
adjust
to describe
after.
what they want Ukraine to investigate. It wasn't about anything actually related to corruption. The evidence, including the president's own statements, made clear this is simply code for the specific investigations that President Trump wanted Ukraine to pursue. Second, as we've discussed, the president's timing,
This is just to put
his
in
reported concerns
the,
about corruption in Ukraine make them all the more suspect. Before
um,
news of
the
Vice
brush
President
texture.
Vice President
You can
Biden's
see
candidacy broke, President
like
Trump
a
showed no interest
paintbrush
in Ukraine.
texture in this one,
He gave Ukraine
whereas
hundreds of
this is like a
millions of
flat
dollars under a regime
brush.
that lost power
So I'm
because of
going in on
mounting
top of each to
concerns
add in
about
that
corruption.
brush look.
So here we are, the president in these prior years giving money to a government of Mr. Poroshenko that is viewed as corrupt, and Zelensky comes and runs against them. Underdog campaign. Underdog campaign of Zelensky against Poroshenko. And what's the heart of Zelensky's campaign? Poroshenko's government is corrupt.
There you go. And I'm going to put a slightly lighter
He's the reformer.
red on the nose.
And it succeeds because the Ukrainians really want to clean up their government. We see this reformer win.
I'll change that texture after.
And carry the hopes of the Ukrainian people.
Because I want that to be smudged
President
as well.
Trump had no problem giving money appropriated by Congress to Ukraine under the corrupt regime of Poroshenko, or the corruption that existed during Poroshenko. But a reformer gets elected, devoted to fighting corruption, and suddenly there's a problem. That was a reason to give more support.
Funnily enough, it doesn't seem like there's blood down his
President, this was the central pillar of his
vest.
campaign.
I know I fucking get blood on my vest.
People place their hopes in him.
There we go.
You can see
So we'll bring that
Zelensky
down.
trying to flatter the president in that July 25th call by saying, yeah,
Multiply
I'm
it.
up for draining the swamp too.
Overlay it.
Ran
Bring it up one
on a
more.
campaign of reform.
Multiply it. And I like
So
that.
no problem giving money to the prior regime where there were
Now this one,
concerns about corruption.
up
but we had a
one.
reformer in office,
Multiply.
and that was a problem.
Up
Of course,
one.
we know what changed. The emergence of Joe
Overlay.
Biden as a candidate. Prior regime, corruption was no problem.
And then we're going to bring
Before he
this
comes into
back up.
office, suddenly there's a problem. I mean, if you need any more graphic example, again, you look to that call. No one disputes that Marie Yovanovitch was and is a devoted fighter.
that's where we
against
are with
corruption.
it.
That's her reputation. That was
Adding
part of
the
the
color.
reason they had to get rid of her. You look at that July 25th.
That's just the messy brush.
He's bad-mouthing this person fighting corruption. He's praising the former Ukrainian.
How we went through, because I did copy over all the layers here, you can actually see from
Are we really believe that this is about fighting corruption?
the nothing layer.
No problem supporting
First was just
a
white.
former regime with corruption
That was the
problems,
sketch.
but problems supporting
That
a
was
reformer
adding
trying to
detail.
clean up.
Blood and detail.
No problems
Smooth it out.
with a
color,
former Ukrainian prosecutor.
color.
He praises in that call.
Shine.
Good man.
Dark.
Problems with a U.S. ambassador who's devoted her life to this
And that
country.
layer is just the end. And then over the top of that we have this color.
Wasn't it
So that's fine. Oh, that's the other picture I'm planning to work on afterwards, hanging in the background there.
After special counsel
He meant the curtain.
confirmed that President Trump's campaign
But I don't know if I'm going to do that. Oh, right. And then I went back in and added the gray underneath. So we could get everything else to pop.
Anti-corruption reforms in Ukraine. Never mind that his own Defense Department said they were meeting all the benchmarks. This new administration, the reformer, is doing exactly what we wanted them to do. Never mind that. Now that Biden's in the picture, he's got. Third, when given the opportunity to raise the issue of corruption with Ukrainians, the president never did. Despite the request of his staff, the word corruption never crosses his lips. Just the Bidens and CrowdStrike. The president first spoke to President Zelensky on April 21st. He was supposed to, he was asked to, by his staff, bring up corruption. I think, go back and check, but I think the readout of that call, that congratulatory call, actually said that he brought up corruption. Am I right? My staff says I'm right. So April 21st, he's asked to bring up corruption. The congratulatory call to President Zelensky, great reformer. He doesn't bring it up, but you know, the readout says that he did.
I don't know what else I want to do with this photo. I'm not feeling well today. I'm not myself. If you guys enjoy the Instagram streams, though, I can keep doing this. I don't know if people want to watch this over here as well, or I don't know if you want to watch it at all.
but we're to believe that apart from the Bidens, this is what our president is concerned about in Ukraine. Here's Lieutenant Colonel Vindman. Colonel Vindman, if I could turn your attention to the April 21st call, that is the first call between President Trump and President Zelensky. Did you prepare talking points for the president to use during that call?
Yes, I did.
And did those talking points include rooting out corruption in Ukraine?
Yes.
That was something the president was supposed to raise in the conversation with President Zelensky?
I'll send you a message, Carrie.
Talking points that were cleared through the NSC staff for the president, yes.
Did you listen in on that call?
Yes, I did.
The White House
now
has released the record of that call. Did President Trump ever mention corruption in the April 21st call?
Change my brush back to...
To the best of my recollection, he did not.
President Trump also did not mention the word corruption on the July 25th call. Here's Lieutenant Colonel Vindman confirming that as well.
Back up to my regular brush. Actually, this one for the background because I don't want anything to be solid back there. I'm going to first
is what I was referring to earlier, the good work of my staff. This is the readout of the April 21st call, which ends by saying, well, it says, President Trump spoke today with President-elect Vladimir Zelensky to congratulate him on his victory in Ukraine's April 21st election. The president wished him success and called the election an important moment in Ukraine's history, noting the peaceful and democratic manner of the electoral process. President Trump underscored the unwavering support of the United States for
this is just to put in a basic underlayer
within its internationally recognized borders, and expressed his commitment to work together with President Zelensky and the
so that I can block out a background.
To implement reforms that strengthen democracy, increase prosperity, and root out corruption.
Actually, you know what? I did that wrong.
That he didn't. Let's hear Colonel Vindman.
I want.
Let's not hear Colonel Vindman. I've heard enough of Colonel Vindman. When President Trump had the ear of President Zelensky during the April 21st and July 25th calls, he did not raise that issue.
That's entirely wrong too. I do need to go back because I need a white outline around this.
White House officials made clear to President Trump that President Zelensky was anti-corruption.
Because it has to be the halo that goes there after.
Fight corruption.
But I can add that in again after if I need to.
Agencies and departments supported this too. The Defense Department and State Department certified that Ukraine satisfied all anti-corruption benchmarks before President Trump froze the aid. The point is this. The evidence is consistent.
Invert.
It establishes clearly that President Trump did not care about corruption. To the contrary,
take my gray layer, lay it down to the bottom.
He wanted Ukraine to do the exact thing that American policy officials
on top of my gray layer
to stop foreign governments from doing corrupt investigations of political rivals.
Paint that in. And then below, I'm just going to hit it with a gradient for now.
The evidence is unmistakably clear. On July 25th, while acting as our nation's chief diplomat and speaking to the leader of Ukraine,
and leave it like
President Trump solicited foreign interference in the U.S. election for one particular objective: to benefit his own re-election, to seek help in cheating in a U.S. election. He requested, effectively demanded, a personal political favor: that Ukraine announced 2 bogus investigations that were only of value to himself. This was not about foreign policy. In fact, it was inconsistent with and diverged from American national security and American values. His own officials knew this, and they reported it. Ukraine knew this, and his own White House attempted to bury the call.
And for this, I'm going to erase
the president has confirmed what he wanted
some of the halo stuff in here.
He has made it clear he didn't care about corruption. He cared only about himself.
So we can see it through the background.
To do something about it.
I'll come back in and put the black layer over the top of that later.
That this president
that's what the finish of this is going to look like.
pursue an objective that places himself above our country.
Well, we've gone through the object of President Trump's scheme, getting Ukraine
Race.
to announce that
Make sure to get rid of all this
investigations would be held, that would
that I
help
can see there.
cheat and gain an advantage in the 2020
Reverse it again.
election. Those sham investigations were to advance his personal political interests, not the national interests
And
of
for some
America.
reason this is not working.
But let's drill down on how. How the president abused the power of his office and executed his corrupt scheme. As noted earlier, the president
And I don't know why
executed
this
his
isn't working
scheme
now.
through three official actions. First, by soliciting foreign election interference. Second, by conditioning an official Oval Office meeting on Ukraine doing, or at least announcing, the political investigations.
Let's just see
And
if I can
third,
flip it.
by withholding military aid to
That'll
pressure
work.
Ukraine to announce those investigations.
And now in the background,
All three of President Trump's official actions were an abuse of his powers present and done for personal gain.
I will.
But the original abuse was President Trump's solicitation of election interference from a foreign country.
Oh, they're my
He tried to get an announcement
that's
of
the
investigations
comic from yesterday,
designed to help him
or the day before.
in the 2020 presidential election. So
My
let's start.
reference.
President
And
Trump's corrupt demands.
there's a Jerome there, but you can't really see him.
In the July
Anyway,
25th
whatever.
phone call were
I'm
not
gonna
just
keep
a
going with this.
spontaneous outburst.
Brush.
They were a dramatic crescendo in a months-long scheme to extort Ukraine into assisting his 2020 re-election campaign. As was shown, there's evidence of President Trump himself demanding that Ukraine conduct the investigations. But President Trump also delegated his authority to his political agent, Rudy Giuliani,
Steve's holding a baseball
to
bat.
oversee and direct this scheme.
I'm gonna add
And that
more
was
clown
beginning in
masks than I
late
actually see in there, but
2018 and early 2019. And here's how that scheme
it's
worked.
fine.
First, in January of 2019, Mr. Giuliani and his associates discussed the investigations with the then current and former prosecutor generals of Ukraine. As we discussed, both were corrupt.
You can't see
Then,
what I'm actually
in
sketching
late
there
April
now.
2019, the scheme hit a roadblock. The reform candidate Zelensky, he won the Ukrainian presidential election. Fear was that President-elect Zelensky would replace the corrupt Ukrainian prosecutor Giuliani had been dealing with. President Trump removed Ambassador Yovanovitch because his agents, including Giuliani, believed she was another roadblock.
And they're the only ones I can really see. Everything else is very much a blur.
In her place, President Trump,
So,
he directed a team of hand-picked political appointees, U.S. officials
I'll go
who were
in.
supposed to work in the public interest.
I'm just going to stay on the same layer. I just want to do all this sketching in the background, probably on one layer.
Those were the three amigos. As Ambassador Sondland said, those U.S. officials, quote, followed the president's orders. But even with Ambassador Yovanovitch gone, President Zelensky still resisted Mr. Giuliani's overtures. So Giuliani, at the president's direction, throughout May and June, he ratcheted up public pressure on Ukraine to announce the investigations. No luck.
And I can kind of see a
It was
clown
only
mask in
then,
this one.
when Mr. Giuliani
I have it sketched in,
could
so I
not
might
get
as well
the
put
deal
it in there.
done, that President Trump turned to the second official action, using the Oval Office meeting to pressure Ukraine.
If you have anything you'd like to see me
Before
draw
we
or
turn to the
ideas,
scheme for soliciting
I'm always
foreign
around for
election
new things to be
interference,
sketching while I'm doing my
how
morning and
Mr.
evening
Giuliani,
warm-ups.
the president's private agent,
Like I will leave here now
assumed
and
the leadership role in this
then I
scheme.
have to do
And
2
applied
strips. Actually, I have to do
escalating pressure
3
on
strips.
Ukraine to announce
and
investigations
some other shit.
helpful to the president's political
It just loosens up the hand, really.
First, let's be clear. Mr. Giuliani is President Trump's
I'm
personal
gonna put a clown
lawyer.
mask back here without the black in it, so you can just kind of see
With his knowledge and consent.
that there are
The evidence shows Mr. Giuliani and President Trump were in constant contact in this time period. Both
other
US
things in the
and
background.
Ukraine officials knew Mr. Giuliani was the key to Ukraine. Let's review
quick
the
red.
president's use of Mr. Giuliani to advance his scheme. First, no one disputes that Mr. Giuliani was and is President Trump's personal lawyer. President Trump has said this, Mr. Giuliani says it, we all know it's true. Second, President Trump at all times directed and knew.
I'm not sure why
about
this is
Mr.
selecting a
Giuliani's
different way than I
actions.
want it to,
How
but
do we know this? Let's start with a letter signed by Giuliani to President Zelensky. And here is that letter. On May 10th, 2019, Mr. Giuliani wrote to a foreign leader, President-elect Zelensky. The letter reads, and I quote, "In my capacity as a personal counsel to President Trump and with his knowledge and consent. Rudy Giuliani, not a government official, to speak about President Trump's specific...
and I'm going to take just the skin tone.
It makes it clear it was in his
Or
role
well,
as the
yeah.
president's counsel. Now, Mr.
A
Giuliani
light skin tone.
didn't just tell the foreign leader that, he also told the press. The day before
Drawing
Mr.
some
Giuliani's
fist
letter
shapes here.
to Zelensky, the New York Times...
This is all going to be
published an
blurred more than it is now,
about
even.
Mr. Giuliani's upcoming trip to Ukraine. And here is the slide about that article. It said, and I quote, "Rudy Giuliani
Just
plans Ukraine trip to push for inquiries that could help Trump." Mr. Giuliani said his trip was to press Ukraine to initiate investigations into false allegations against the Bidens and the 2016 election, and that it was at the request of the president.
and this clown mask is actually one of the weird ones that stood out in the crowd. It's like a whole different looking mask. It doesn't look anything like the ones everybody and Arthur himself wore in the movie.
Of Mr. Giuliani's activities.
There are a couple of them in the background, and I'm
About the Ukrainian activities.
curious to see what they're from, or if they're anything specific, or if it's just
On May 11th,
what the person could find at the time.
and I quote, "In a telephone
And now I'm
interview
going to add in.
with Politico on Friday, Trump said he didn't know much about
Actually.
Giuliani's planned trip to Ukraine, wanted to speak with him about it. I've not, this is a quote of the president, "I've not spoken to him in any great length, but I will," Trump said in the interview. "I will speak to him about it before he leaves." President Trump knew and directed Mr. Giuliani's activities in May 2019 when Mr. Giuliani was planning his visit to Kiev, and that remains true today. The Wall Street Journal reported that when Rudy Giuliani returned from a trip to Kiev just last month, quote, "The president called him as the plane was still taxiing down the runway. President Trump asked his lawyers, quote, 'What did you get?' Giuliani answered, 'More than you can imagine.' Even as President Trump faced impeachment in the House of Representatives, he was coordinating with his personal attorney on the Ukraine suit.
Now, right on top
The
of
president
this
asked Rudy, what
layer,
did you get? The evidence also shows Mr. Giuliani and the president were in frequent contact. During the investigation and in response to a lawful
toss in
subpoena,
some blue.
the House got call records. They show contacts, not content, between Giuliani, the White House, and other people involved in the president's scheme. For example,
Put
on
in the
April
black for the
23rd,
eye holes.
Rudy Giuliani learned President
This will
Trump
all be
decided
blurred.
to fire Ambassador Yovanovitch. On that day, according to phone records, Giuliani had an 8-minute and 28-second call with a White House number. Let's look at what happened the next day on April 24th.
And
Giuliani was again
now,
in heated contact with the White House. For example, he had one 8-minute and 42-second call with the White House number. An hour and a half later, he had another call, which lasted 3 minutes and 15 seconds with the White House. Now, when
things you can
reporter
barely see.
recently asked who he called at the White House, Mr. Giuliani said this: "I talked to the president mostly." Rudy Giuliani remained in close contact with the White House
Alright, and
after the disclosure.
again, guys,
of
if you're
his
coming in
planned
from
trip to
Instagram
Ukraine
or
in 2019.
YouTube,
Now, Rudy
I
is
apologize for the news being what's playing in the background, but I've had a lot of copyright bumps because of music playing in the background while I'm drawing and stuff.
Advancing the Ukraine scheme. We know from their comments and the documentary evidence about the frequency of their contact.
Qualification? There's a qualification I'm doing? What is the qualification? I don't understand. Do I know you? That makes it sound weird if we've never met, maybe. But send me a message. I mean, whatever. If I see the message, I'll read it. If it's a virus, I'll hunt you down. And nothing good will come of it. Oh, and thank you. Lip drawing, I guess that means good drawing.
On television and in the newspapers. A State Department official, Christopher Anderson, said that John Bolton, quote, joked about every time Ukraine is mentioned, Giuliani pops up. After Ambassador Yovanovitch's dismissal, Ambassador Bolton told Dr. Hill...
Yeah, okay, now I'm going to go in behind that layer, because that's just like a ridiculous layer. And of course, we're positive bad connection on Instagram.
Testified that Ambassador Bolton issued guidance for the National Security Council staff to not engage with Rudy Giuliani.
I will go into the background here.
Why?
And
because Mr. Giuliani was not conducting official U.S.
I'm going to
foreign
steal
policy.
this away.
He was doing a domestic political errand for President Trump. Now, these phone records, as I say, lawfully obtained, reveal potential contact between Ambassador Bolton and Rudy Giuliani on May 9th, the day the New York Times reported this trip to Kiev. Rudy Giuliani's role in Ukraine policy is yet another topic that Ambassador Bolton could speak to.
Even smaller back here.
And hear what he has to say about it. Even without Ambassador Bolton's testimony, multiple other administration officials confirmed Mr. Giuliani's central role. Ambassador Sondland said, quote, "It was apparent to everyone that the key to changing the president's mind on Ukraine was Giuliani." David Holmes, U.S. political counselor, said Giuliani.
I've never done it like this before, but I'm gonna,
Ukrainian diplomacy. Bad enough that the president ordered U.S.
Oh, an essay on cosplay? Well, I mean, I do cosplay. Yeah, I'm not really a part of any cosplay community, as say, like, it's just me.
On July 10th,
I don't know how to say that right. That doesn't sound right. That sounds arrogant.
Top aide to President Zelensky sent a text to Ambassador Bolton.
Yeah, sure, send it to me, and I'll see what I can do with it.
In that text,
so back here,
the Ukrainian official said this, quote, "Thank you for meeting and your clear and very logical position. It will be great to meet with you before my departure and discuss. I feel that the key for many things is Rudy, and I'm ready to talk with him at any time." Let me repeat that quote. The key for many things is Rudy. So, the president used his personal agent to conduct his scheme with Ukraine. They were in frequent contact. Everyone, White House officials, and
this is all going to be a blur in the background here, guys. I don't know if it's going to look right or what's going to look like, but it could. It could be good.
What was Giuliani doing that was so important to Ukraine?
Make it darker up towards the front. kind of
Mr.
like
Giuliani's focus was to get investigations
shapes are out here in the background a little bit.
To help the president's re-election. And we've walked through some of the timeline of Mr. Giuliani's actions.
And now over the top again, I'll go back in
Let's just line them up briefly.
with another
Makes the story so clear.
set
April
of
2019.
just
Vice President
blurred
Biden officially announced his
kind of
campaign
spots.
for the Democratic Party's presidential nomination. And a reminder, at the time of Biden's announcement and for months after, public polling, including from Fox News, showed that Biden would beat President Trump. The Fox News polling data is up on the chart. Right after President Biden announced his candidacy, and while Biden was beating President Trump in the polls, Mr. Giuliani said in a public interview with the New York Times that he was traveling to Ukraine to pursue investigations. He wanted to make sure that, quote, Biden will not get to Election Day without being investigated. The scheme was all about President
All right,
Trump's
and now I'll bring those together and see if this actually
Mr. Giuliani
worked
tweeted on June
or
21st
what.
and urged President Zelensky to pursue the
Yeah.
investigation.
I mean,
The scheme
for what I
is
want,
even now.
that's good.
Mr. Giuliani has tweeted about Joe Biden
I'll
over
bring it up
65
one there.
times since September.
And bring it up
And
one more.
President Trump told you himself. He admitted on October 2nd, quote, we've been investigating on a personal basis through Rudy and others, lawyers, corruption.
There you go. And now I'm gonna,
an election. Again, to
gosh,
repeat,
it's blur.
President Trump used his personal agent for Ukraine. He's made this clear to U.S. officials and to the Ukrainians. The evidence shows President
Extremely
Trump
blurry in the
and Rudy
background.
Giuliani were in constant contact during this period. President Trump directed him to pursue investigations. He told U.S. officials to work with Rudy. He told Ukrainians to work with Rudy.
Separate layer with
Rudy
just the
and his
faces.
associates
Blurred a little
pressed
bit less.
Ukraine for investigations into the president's political.
And you know what I forgot to do here?
Giuliani
In this
said,
layer
quote, Biden
is
will not get to Election Day without this being investigated. Keeping all this in mind, let's turn to the president's first official act, soliciting foreign interference. As we mentioned, in late 2018 and early 2019,
forgot to hit these
Rudy
spots with the
Giuliani
green.
and his associates, Lev Parnas and Igor Fruman, were busy soliciting information from corrupt Ukrainians to help President Trump. They pursued a months-long campaign to dig up dirt on Biden. In late 2018 and early 2019,
And that'll do for that. And
Fruman and Giuliani
now I'll
met
duplicate that,
extensively
bring it
with
up.
two corrupt Ukrainian prosecutors.
Gosh, it's blur.
Yurchenko
Gaussian
and
blur.
To
Gaseous.
gather information they believe would
Enough so
help
you
President
can't
Trump.
make out the details.
As you'll recall, Shokin was corrupt. George Kent described Shokin as, quote, a
Race.
typical Ukrainian prosecutor who lived a lifestyle far in excess of
And
his
the ones up
government
top
salary,
now will be
who
even more
never
blurred than the ones
prosecuted
below it.
anybody,
If
known
that
who
makes
hadn't
any
committed
sense
a
to
crime,
anyone,
and who
good.
covered up crimes that were known to have been committed. And remember, because Shokin was corrupt, Vice President Biden had urged his removal. This was in accordance with U.S. policy. Shokin blamed former Vice President for his dismissal by the Ukrainian parliament. He wanted to revive his
Okay.
political fortunes in Ukraine by assisting with Giuliani's effort. At the end of January, Giuliani, Parnas,
Just
and
want to
Fruman
try something here.
participated in a conference call with Shokin. He made allegations about Vice President Biden and Burisma. Shokin also falsely claimed that Ambassador Yovanovitch had improperly denied him a U.S. visa and that she was close to Vice President Biden.
Blur a little bit.
Also in January, Giuliani,
Maybe
Parnas,
make it a bit
and
bigger.
Fruman
Fill
met
in
with
that space.
Lutsenko in New York. They discussed
There we go.
investigations into Burisma and the Bidens, and whether Ambassador Yovanovitch was, quote, loyal.
So that's where the full picture is looking now.
Held a grudge against
And what I
Ambassador Yovanovitch
want to do
because
with
she
it
and the broader State Department were critical of
I like
Lutsenko's
the
standards.
messiness of it, so I'm going to just try to leave that be
in Ukraine. This
and
was the motivation for
make sure my
Lutsenko
layers are
to
selected
give
correctly.
Giuliani and his associates false information on Biden and Burisma. And here's the
One of their...
Lutsenko and Shokin had grudges.
Yeah, they ding me for
against
everything.
Biden
Even when I
and
put out
Ambassador
things that
Yovanovitch
are like straight from
because
YouTube.
they were
Well, I
implementing
guess it's
US
hard to say.
policy to fight corruption in Ukraine.
I don't mind the news being in the
Giuliani and his
background.
associates had motive
Um,
to harm Biden, help get
Yeah.
President Trump reelected.
But that's
They
cool.
had motive.
Thanks for the suggestion, though. I always like suggestions about anything.
Or anyone else who got in their way of their efforts.
So now on top, I will
Giuliani admitted this. He told the New York Times
bring back up my
he
brush
spoke to President Trump
and actually
about how
sketch
Ambassador Yovanovitch frustrated efforts
with
that
normal
were
pressure.
politically helpful to President Trump. Giuliani admitted this was all to benefit
black.
President Trump. Documents give us evidence.
I don't want to have it at 100%.
WhatsApp exchanges that
Lower than that.
Congress recently gave to Congress make clear that in exchange
Yeah,
for
actually, maybe I do want it at 100%.
information
Nah,
about
I'll leave it like it is.
Lutsenko
Leave it like it is, and if I need to do it later, I'll just redo it. That's fine.
Here's that WhatsApp report. For example, on March 22nd, Lutsenko wrote, quote, "It's just that if you don't make a decision about matter, you are bringing into question all my allegations, including about B." Now, here B could either be Biden or Burisma or both, but M, Madam, is Ambassador Yovanovitch. In the March 22 text, Lutsenko implied that if Parnas wanted dirt on Biden, Burisma, he needed to do something about Ambassador Yovanovitch. Days later, on March 28, Parnas assured Lutsenko that his efforts were being recognized in the United States.
This is
and that
my
he'd be rewarded.
26th
Parnas wrote, quote,
live
"I was
sketch since I started,
to convey to you that America
just
supports
late last
you
year.
and will not let you be harmed, no matter how
So
it
that
is
means
now. Soon, everything will turn around and we'll be
nothing.
on the right course. Just so you know, here people are talking about you as a true Ukrainian hero."
It's just a fact that I'm telling you.
Lutsenko responded with the dirt that President Trump wanted. He wrote, quote, "I have copies of payments from Burisma to Seneca. Minutes after being reassured that America supports you and will not let you be harmed, Lutsenko claimed he had records of payments from Burisma to Rosemont Seneca Partners, a firm founded by Hunter Biden." This text message, along with others, show that Lutsenko was providing derogatory information on the Bidens in exchange for Parnas pushing for Ambassador Yovanovitch's removal. Now, in late March and throughout
Right.
April 2019, a smear campaign against the Bidens and against Ambassador Yovanovitch entered a more public phase through a series of opinion pieces.
If you want to watch this being drawn from the beginning, you can go over to my YouTube. I started this in December.
Was orchestrated
You can find the original
by
sketch video and then
Parnas and Lutsenko.
start back at the beginning this morning.
Records produced by Parnas that he played
See what I
an
did today.
important role in getting derogatory information
Whatever, not this
from
morning.
Lutsenko
It certainly wasn't this morning.
to John Solomon, who wrote the opinion pieces in The Hill. According to The Hill articles, Ukrainian officials falsely claim to have evidence of wrongdoing about the following. One, that Vice President Biden's efforts in 2015 to remove Shokin. Two, Hunter Biden's role as a Burisma board member. Three,
If you do head over to my YouTube, please feel free to like, subscribe, and share over there. You can like this as well here on Instagram. I love getting live video likes. Helps keep me in that algorithm. Now for the hair, for right now, I'm going to block this in.
Biden, and in exchange, have Ambassador Yovanovitch removed. Now, Mr.
But I
Giuliani
might
was
change
very
that
open
slightly
about this,
later.
and here is a clip worth watching.
Let me tell you my interest in that. I got information about 3 or 4 months ago that a lot of the explanation for how this whole phony investigation started was in the Ukraine. That there were a group of people in the Ukraine that were working to help Hillary Clinton and were colluding, really, with the Clinton campaign. And it stems around the ambassador and the embassy being used for political purposes. So I began getting some people that were coming forward and telling me about that. And then all of a sudden, they revealed a story about Burisma and Biden's son, Biden being on board.
Well, Mr. Giuliani got laughed at on Fox News for advancing the crowdsourced conspiracy theory, but the clip shows that he had been making an effort to get derogatory information from the Ukrainians on behalf of his client, President Trump. My colleague, Ms. Demings, will now further detail how the scheme evolved.
It is interesting, and I think it's interesting probably for everybody to hear the entire proceeding laid out from beginning to end. I'm one of the few, I'm sure, who are just watching the whole thing.
Objection?
Because apparently I like to torture myself.
Chief Justice Roberts, to the senators, and of course the counsel for the president. At this point, everything was going to plan. Mr. Giuliani was scheming with the corrupt Ukrainian prosecutors who were
And there's a
offering
shadow
dirt on
here.
Biden that would help
Real
President
stark
Trump get reelected.
black
They were
shadow.
they were pressing
See this right
President
here? This
Trump
color needs to be changed
to
after
remove
as well.
Ambassador Yovanovitch, including publicly tarnishing her reputation through false and baseless claims. But then the president's scheme hit a roadblock.
Another harsh shadow right here.
President Zelensky, then the anti-corruption candidate, won a landslide victory in Ukraine's presidential election. U.S. officials unanimously testified that President Zelensky's mandate to pursue reform would be good for our national security. However, it was potentially bad news for President Trump's scheme. Mr. Giuliani did not have a relationship with Zelensky. As a reformer, he would be less amenable to announcing the sham investigations.
Amenable?
Zelensky
Maybe that's right. Maybe I'm pronouncing it
would not
wrong.
want to get dragged into U.S. domestic politics. Additionally, the election of a new Ukrainian president raised concern that Lukashenko, with whom Mr. Giuliani
I'll go
had
in
been
now as
plotting,
well with
would be replaced
the
by a
highlight
new
layer. Note that
Ukrainian
I've decided to run this
prosecutor.
entirely as well on Instagram. I didn't click myself off at all. So if you're watching 24 hours and this will be gone. It'll be up on YouTube for at least a little while, but all of these long videos will probably be taken down as this year goes by, as they get moved behind that first Patreon wall. But if you catch them live, awesome. Say hi.
He continued to work hard to get dirt on Biden, and he tried to get a meeting with Zelensky to secure the new Ukrainian leader's commitment to press the
I have no idea what that says.
This strategy
BHZD299. It sounds not at all like a robot. I mean, maybe you're not, but
April 23rd,
it sounds like a
Harmas
robot
and
to me.
Freeman were in Israel trying to arrange a meeting between Giuliani and the newly
Right, I didn't
minted
finish that.
Ukrainian
I'm gonna go back in real
Zelensky.
quick and
On April 23rd,
mess with
Giuliani left a voicemail message for Parnas. Let's play
the
that
color of the
voicemail.
teeth, which are gonna have like a yellow pinkness because there's blood trickling down them.
Well, I was going to say it would be difficult to hear, but I'm sure you cannot hear it at all. But let me tell you what it says. He says, it's Rudy. When you get a chance, give me a call and bring me up
And what
to
else
date,
did I
okay?
miss?
I got a couple of things to tell you too. Parnas
I don't know, I
and
missed
Giuliani
something. There's
visually
something missing
spoke
that I was
on
just
that
thinking
same
about.
day. We have the phone records that prove that. According
All
to
right,
phone
the blood.
records, Parnas and Giuliani had a 1
In which case I go back over to the
50-second call. 15
that brush.
minutes after they hung up. The records also show that Mr. Giuliani placed 3 short phone calls to the White House. Shortly
didn't
thereafter,
put
the
the
White House called Giuliani back. Giuliani
brush
spoke with someone
texture
at the
around
White House
this.
for 8 minutes and 28 seconds. I will just quickly note that at the time the Intelligence Committee issued its report in mid-December, we did not know whether that 8-minute, 28-second call was from the White House. We have since received information from a telecom company that it was indeed the White House. Now we don't have a recording of that call. Neither the White House nor Giuliani produced any information to Congress about what was discussed. Of course, the White House has refused, as you already know, to cooperate in any way. But even without the evidence
Flattening
that the White
underneath.
House is hiding, with the evidence we do have, these phone records prove that Mr. Giuliani was keeping President Trump informed about what was going on when he was trying to meet President Zelensky and get Ukraine to commit to the investigations. Now let's look at President Trump's decision to remove Ambassador Yovanovitch. Following the call between Mr. Giuliani and the White House on April 23rd, Parnas asked Giuliani for an update. And Parnas texted, and I quote, "Going to sleep, my brother. Please text me or call me if you have any news." Giuliani responded, "He fired her again." That was, of course, in reference to Ambassador Yovanovitch. Her removal would no doubt please the corrupt
And
Ukrainian
I don't know why that
prosecutor,
went out, but okay.
Lysenko, who offered derogatory information about Hunter Biden. It also eliminated a potential obstacle identified by Giuliani.
Alright, so my
Parnas
Instagram
responded,
feed
and
just
I
dropped
quote,
because
"I
I
pray it
think you can
happens
only
this
have an
time.
hour
I'll call you tomorrow."
live on Instagram, whereas on here I
And
think
it
you can
did.
have 4 or 5. I don't
Because
remember
we know
exactly.
that the very next day, on April 24th, Ambassador Yovanovitch received 2 frantic phone calls from Ambassador Carol Perez at the State Department. The second call came at 1 a.m. According to Ambassador Yovanovitch, as you can see from the slide on the screen, the Director General of the Foreign Service told her, and I quote, "There was a lot of concern for me that I needed to be on the next plane to Washington." Yovanovitch recalled, and I was like, "What? What happened?" And Perez said, "I don't know. But this is about
I guess that was
your
an hour. I don't know.
security.
I wasn't paying that much
You need to
attention.
come home immediately. You need to come home on the next plane." Yovanovitch asked
And
what
now I'm
Perez
going
meant by,
to,
quote,
just to finish up for right now, I don't feel like drawing this anymore.
Perez didn't get that
I am
impression,
going to add
but repeated that
a
Yovanovitch
small amount of the
needed,
shine
and
back
I
in
quote, "to
that I
come
wanted.
back immediately." This was no coincidence. Mr. Giuliani and his agents conspired to meet President Zelensky. They conspired for Ambassador Yovanovitch to be removed. And within hours of Mr. Giuliani saying he prayed Ambassador Yovanovitch would get fired, Ambassador Yovanovitch got a frantic phone call to get on the next plane. And that same day, on April 24th, Giuliani appeared on Fox and Friends and promoted the false conspiracy theories about Ukraine and Vice President Biden that were all part of this agreement. Let's look and listen to what he said.
They asked you to keep your eye on Ukraine, because in Ukraine, a lot of the dirty work was done in digging up the information. American officials we used, Ukrainian officials we used, that's like collusion with the Ukrainians, and, or actually in this case, conspiracy with the Ukrainians. I think it gives some interesting information about Joe Biden from Ukraine, about his son, Hunter Biden, about a company he was on the board of for years, which may be one of the most crooked companies in Ukraine, Ukrainian-Russian company. Not a Ukrainian.
I love how he just talks about it like it's a thing.
Yanukovych, the guy they tossed out, and Manafort got in all the trouble with, the guy who owns and worked for Yanukovych, pulled $10 billion out of the Ukraine, has been a fugitive, was a fugitive when Biden's kid first went to work there. And Biden bragged about the fact that he got the prosecutor general on fire. Prosecutor general was investigating his son, and then the investigation went south.
Ambassador Yovanovitch was never
hi, real cat lover.
justification for her removal.
That'll do it.
She was an
I think.
anti-corruption crusader.
It looks fine.
Highly
It's not exactly where I wanted it to end up.
diplomat.
Oh, actually, I haven't
And
finished it
she
yet, so I shouldn't
had
say that.
been
But
recently asked to extend her stay in Ukraine. While American ambassadors serve at the pleasure of the president, we do understand
let's bring us down
that.
to dark.
I am sure you would all agree that the manner
Drop the
and
saturation just a
circumstances
little bit.
surrounding the ambassador's
Brush in.
removal were unusual and raised questions
And I'm going to use
of
a
motive. Every witness who testified
feathered
confirmed
brush.
that there was no factual basis to the accusations Lysenko lodged against Ambassador Yovanovitch. Undersecretary of State David Hale, the most senior career diplomat at the State Department, testified that Marie Yovanovitch was an outstanding ambassador and should have been permitted to remain in Kyiv. Even more significant, several witnesses testified that President Trump's decision to remove Ambassador Yovanovitch undercut U.S. national security objectives in Ukraine during a critical time. Dr. Hill, for example, explained that many of the key U.S. policies towards Ukraine were being implemented by the U.S. Embassy in Kyiv. And then suddenly, quote, we had just then lost the leadership. This created what Hill labeled, and I quote, a period of uncertainty as to how our government was going to execute U.S. policy. George Kent testified that the ouster of Ambassador Yovanovitch, quote, hampered U.S. efforts to establish rapport with
I'll
the
bring
new
that down a little bit further.
Zelensky administration in Ukraine. So why did President Trump remove a distinguished career public servant, an anti-corruption crusader, and a top diplomat in the State Department? Well, we know why. The answer is simple. President Trump removed Ambassador Yovanovitch because she was in the way. She was in the way of the sham investigations that he so desperately wanted. Investigations that would hurt former Vice President Biden and undermine the Mueller investigation into Russia election interference. Investigations that would help him cheat in the 2020 elections. Rudy Giuliani admitted that he personally told President
And then you get
Trump
just that little
about his
tap of
concern
green
that
in through there.
Ambassador Yovanovitch was an obstacle to securing Ukrainian cooperation on the two
It's
bogus
closer to what I was
investigations
looking
they
for the final to look like. So when I come back to finish,
And Rudy Giuliani confirmed that President Trump decided to remove Ambassador Yvonne
before uploading it to my Patreon for download, I will just touch up some line work, really.
Indeed, Mr. Giuliani was explicit about this when he told the New Yorker last month. He said, and I quote, "I believe that I needed Yovanovitch out of the way."
And this is just working some of the background back in, so you can get some of the glow.
For everybody. So let's recap. Mr. Giuliani and his agents, on behalf of President Trump, the United States president, worked with corrupt Ukrainians to get dirt on President Trump's political opponent. Mr. Giuliani said this in press interviews. He texted about it with his agents.
Pause due to poor connection.
And he repeatedly called the White House. Following the election of a new Ukrainian leader committed to fighting.
And I think that's going to be it for this session, guys. Thanks for watching. Join me again next time.
An anti-corruption crusader. And Mr. Giuliani told us why.
Go back and watch the first 25. Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of live videos now up to watch if you like hearing me mumble for a while I'm sketching. Well, this is going to be 26 when it's done and goes up now. But yeah, thanks for watching. If you're watching on Instagram, you can see the whole thing a little closer without this jiggle and screen in the background. Just go to my YouTube, That Joker Guy, youtube.com/thatjokerguy, and there's all kinds of stuff up there to look at now, and hopefully more. My schedule for February is going to go up next week. Schedule for when I will be live on both Instagram and Facebook as artist and as cosplayer. So keep an eye out for that, I guess, if you do want to keep up with my drawings. Or if you want me to draw something for you, send me a message. All of these will start going up live as well on my Patreon just after I draw them for full-size download under the just under the first or second tier. Alright, so let's take a walk back through for those on Instagram and those on YouTube. Let's take a walk all the way from the beginning
Let's listen.
So I've decided, Sharon, I'm not going to go to the Ukraine.
to the end.
I'm not going to go because
So,
I'm walking into a group of people that are
this is my background. The background was, let me see.
It appears Giuliani's statement influenced President Trump's view of Ukraine.
So this was my background.
And an Oval
Okay, it's just a very
Office
messy looking background.
and
I
Oval Office
drew in a
on
couple of
May
layers
23rd.
of
US officials
the
learned
clowns
of Giuliani's influence.
and
Ambassador Vogel
blurred them
testified that President Trump, quote,
and layered them over each
didn't
other,
believe the positive assessment
which then ended
government
up looking like
officials
that.
gave the new Ukrainian president.
And
Instead,
this was my
President
sketch
Trump told them that
of the Joker
Giuliani,
originally.
quote, knows
Detail,
all of these
more
things,
detail,
and said that
a little more,
President Zelensky
oh, this time color,
had some bad
color.
people.
That's where I ended the first session, was
At
around
this
here.
point, the scheme
See the end written up there in the corner?
Mr. Giuliani and the president knew that they were going to have
The end.
trouble with President
And then I came in
Zelensky
today
fulfilling his corrupt demand
and
for
added more color
investigations that would
layers
benefit President Trump's
for
re-election
depth,
campaign.
brush texture, and shadow. Then even more layers
That brings us to the next phase
and
of
more
this scheme.
until we get
Although
our
his scheme was in trouble due to the unexpected results
color lightness
of the
layer at the top
Ukrainian
for
election,
just shadow.
the election, which yielded an anti-corruption
That is the full picture,
President Trump doubled down
beginning to end.
on his scheme to
And let me
solicit
just leave you with a
investigations for his personal
signature.
benefit.
Never
On May
forget to sign your work.
In May
I leave
of
the sketches in the background
2019,
here.
With a gap in American leadership in Ukraine after
think I did.
Ambassador Yovanovitch was removed,
Which means
President
I
Trump
should go back and
enlisted U.S.
erase that.
officials to help to do his political work. The scheme grew from false
Where is
allegations by disgruntled,
pencils?
corrupt Ukrainian
Right.
prosecutors to a plot by the President of the United States
it
to
was
extort
the end layer.
the new Ukrainian
took out of there.
president into
Okay, and now
his political investigations.
pressure
During the
sensitive
May
brush.
23rd Oval Office meeting, President Trump directed Ambassador Sondland, Ambassador Volker, and Secretary Perry to work with Mr. Giuliani on Ukraine. Giuliani had made clear he was pursuing investigations for President Trump in a personal capacity. He said that publicly on numerous instances.
Why does that keep
And
happening?
he was only working for the president in a personal capacity and not on foreign policy. Yet, President Trump still told White House officials that they had to work with
And
Mr.
for right now, it's going
Giuliani
to go in right here.
to get anywhere on Ukraine. We heard significant
We'll likely change
testimony
that
on this point.
for a print.
For example, Ambassador
Alright, this
Volker
was another,
recalled
what,
that at the Oval
hour
Office
and now
meeting on
12
May
minutes of
23rd,
just finishing.
President Trump directed the U.S.
Thanks everybody for
officials
watching.
to
I'm going to say bye to Instagram first. If you want to come over and catch my
Ambassador
finishing
Sondland
up and
testified
saving
that
out,
President
you can
Trump
head over to my
directed them
YouTube.
to talk to Rudy. And that in that
Hello,
moment,
Phyllis,
the
in.
U.S. diplomats
I'm
saw
going to
the
leave.
writing on the wall
Go over and watch the video on
and
YouTube.
concluded
It's all exactly the same, except
that
a little
if he
clearer
did not
than this
talk
shaky
to
mess.
Rudy,
Alright,
nothing would
bye
move
Instagram.
forward.
Dun dun
Nothing
dun dun dun
would
quack.
move forward on Ukraine.
That was a very
Then
rushed dun dun
pay
dun dun dun
attention
dun
to
quacked.
Ambassador Sondland.
Thank you, Carrie. That actually means a lot. I don't know. A lot of people don't reply to my work. I just put it up and it sells, but I don't often get people telling me if they like it or no. I assume the people who buy it do, but not everybody buys, and that's cool. Okay, so I'm going to leave you guys now too. What I'll do is this was the pictures from yesterday. These were the pictures from yesterday, I should say. This is the thumbnail. I'm now going to change it. Usually this is behind a Patreon wall, but I'm doing it here today because I didn't do it on Instagram and wanted to see if people would come just to watch it. And we'll copy this photo, copy, paste it in here, navigate out, make it much smaller, navigate in, bring it down below, and I think, I don't even know if I'm going to mess with that. I think I like just how that looks.
And just like that, U.S. officials
And I'll
charged
save,
with advancing
save as,
U.S. foreign policy. U.S. officials who were supposed to act in our country's interests
save
were
as,
directed to instead advance President
A
Trump's
JPEG.
personal interests.
and
From
today's
that point on,
is,
they
that
worked
was my
with the
13th
president's
live,
personal
apparently was the
agent
sketch for this. So if
on
you wanted to look
political
up, go back to my 13th live.
to benefit
I'm looking at the thumbnails for them now.
president's re-election.
Yesterday
Their
was
work
25.
on President Trump's
Yesterday was 24
behalf
and
to
25.
solicit
Today
foreign
is 26.
interference in our elections continued throughout all
Save.
of June. For instance, on June
And that's it.
21st, Mr. Giuliani tweeted that
Thanks again for
President
tuning in. If it's
Zelensky
your first time
had
here,
not
please
yet
like, subscribe, and
publicly
share. If it's your
on two
20th time here,
politically
please like,
motivated
subscribe, and share. If
investigations
whatever,
designed
just
to
like, subscribe, and
benefit
share. I enjoy it.
President
If you
And
enjoy
when
it, I
Mr.
should say.
Giuliani's public
I
efforts
always
and
enjoy
his
it when you
tweets
like things.
Didn't move President Zelensky
All
to
right, today has
mount the
been an
investigation.
absolute
He used
shit
US
day.
diplomats as directed by President Trump.
And
This is
more
a
on
clip.
that later.
After Giuliani canceled his trip to Ukraine.
Thanks for everyone who's already a
and
patron.
commented that President-elect
Thanks
Zelensky
for everybody who
had
has
enemies.
subscribes to my YouTube channel. Thanks for all the likes. Thanks for all the love. And you guys are what make me want to keep coming back and creating more and more. And yeah, an hour and 20 minutes today. It's going to be the weekend. I'm working both days this weekend and through most of next week. But I will be back in the mornings next week for the usual hour of sketching, or of sketching my strips. So actually doing up the comic strips to go up. Which again, you'll hear more on that very soon too. Alright, now I'm just mumbling. I suppose I should say thanks again. And yeah. Let me know what you want to see me draw. And have a great day. Dun 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 dun. Quack.